If your quest for longevity feels overwhelming, here's some good news. It starts with one simple daily habit. MitoPure gummies from Timeline. They're the first ever longevity gummies that ignite mitophagy, your body's natural anti-aging pathway. MitoPure is a clinically validated solution backed by over 15 years of research. MitoPure gummies utilize a powerful compound that redefines what's possible for your longevity. MitoPure produces the first ever urolithin A gummies that support your cellular energy so you feel strong, clear, and vibrant. Boost your cellular energy and enhance muscle strength and endurance, all without changing your diet or exercise routine. As someone who loves to stay active, I've noticed a significant boost in my workouts since I started using it. I feel stronger and more energized, and my recovery time has improved dramatically. Better recovery starts at the cellular level. For more information and to order, just go to timeline.com/Hoffman. Use coupon code Hoffman at checkout for 20% off. That's timeline.com/Hoffman for 20% off MitoPure gummies with code Hoffman.
Welcome to Intelligent Medicine, America's foremost program on health, medicine, and nutrition, featuring the latest on both conventional and alternative therapies. Now, here's Dr. Ronald Hoffman.
Welcome back to Intelligent Medicine. Dr. Ronald Hoffman here. 877-726-8255 is our number. When it comes to predicting disease, you can go to a fortune teller and you'll get a prediction of whether or not you're going to succumb to disease or how long you're going to live. Or you can go to a doctor and get a bunch of tests, or you can go to a calculator, and a calculator will tell you how likely you are to have heart disease within the next 10 years. But according to a new study, half of heart attacks strike people told that they're low risk. Now, this is in the context of the introduction of something new and controversial. It's called the Prevent Calculator. And the Prevent Calculator was designed to replace a previous calculator which told people whether they were at high risk for heart disease or not. And the Prevent Calculator has been criticized because critics of the calculator say that it underpredicts risk. Critics say the calculator could lead to, I don't know how they know this, but they estimate 107,000 additional heart attacks and strokes over 10 years if employed, because it reduces people's eligibility for statin drugs. And I'll have a comment on that in just a minute. But they did a study, and the study was done right here in New York at Mount Sinai School of Medicine. Risk scores often underestimate individual danger. They looked at a bunch of people who checked in with heart attacks, and then retrospectively, they looked at their score on the previous iteration of the calculator. It's called the ASCVD calculator, and then the Prevent Calculator. And they found that 45% of patients would not have been recommended for preventive therapy or further diagnostic testing under the previous guidelines. Then they changed the guidelines, which even made the guidelines more liberal and actually reduced the number of people who should be getting statins according to the guidelines. And they say the proportion rose to 61% when Prevent calculators were used. Even worse, they found that most patients, 60%, only noticed symptoms fewer than 2 days before their heart attack. So in other words, there wasn't an early warning. So you got to get an early warning and use some sort of formula to figure out whether you're at risk for a heart attack. Now, part of the problem with this is that these calculators don't use imaging. And I like imaging when it comes to cardiovascular risk. Personally, I underwent a few years back a coronary artery calcium scan, and it showed that I had zero plaque. I was happy to see that at the age of 60-something. According to the authors of this new study, which shows that half of heart attacks strike people told they're low risk, it may be time to fundamentally reconsider this model and move towards atherosclerosis imaging to identify the silent plaque, early atherosclerosis, before it has a chance to rupture. And so I looked at, I decided, and I do this from time to time, I go to the calculators and I see what the calculators have to say about my own personal risk. And I plugged in my numbers. And so I said, okay, I'm a male. I'm 73. I put in my cholesterol, which is about 215. I put in my HDL, which varies. I put in conservative estimate. It varies from 65 to 80. And my BMI, which is 25, which is average, non-obese, pretty good. I don't have high blood pressure. I have normal kidney function. I don't have diabetes. I don't have no kidney disease, no diabetes, no high blood pressure. That's all they asked for. Oh, and I told them I wasn't a smoker. And I wasn't on lipid-lowering medication. And here's what they come up with for me. Estimated 10-year risk of cardiovascular disease, 13.1%. That's pretty high. That would put me as a candidate for a statin drug, which I do not need. And I even tried to tweak it. I said, okay, let me put my HDL down as 80, which it sometimes is. It reduced my risk to 12.3. Anytime you have an estimated 10-year risk of cardiovascular disease above 10%, you are a candidate for a statin. But what they don't ask is they don't ask, how much do I exercise? They don't ask, do you cycle, 20 miles across hilly terrain, quite a few times per month. They don't ask, what is your VO2 max? What is your resting heart rate? How much time do you spend swimming 2,000 yards in the pool every other day? Or lifting weights in the gym? They don't ask about that, which should enter into cardiovascular risk, right? They don't ask what your inflammation is like. They don't ask what is your highly sensitive C-reactive protein, HSCRP, is a major risk factor. They don't ask for your Lp(a), which even in the absence of a high cholesterol, that may be why some of these people without obvious risk, they had a high Lp(a), which put them at risk for a heart attack. That wasn't figured into these calculators. They say they just rely on you saying you don't have diabetes, but they don't ask for your hemoglobin A1C. Well, let's say your hemoglobin A1C is 6.0. You're not diabetic, but it's an elevated risk anyway. They find out what your BMI is, but that's an unreliable predictor of your body fat percentage, which is a better way of determining risk. You might have a normal BMI, but you might have a high degree of visceral fat if you do a body fat percentage test. They don't ask what your insulin is. They don't ask what your triglycerides are. They don't ask what your omega-3 fatty acid levels are. And these are all important determinants of cardiovascular risk. So I'm not happy with these predictors, these calculators. I think that they're doing a bad job. In my case, they would unnecessarily consign me to a statin drug, in my opinion. Although some people think we should put statin drugs in the drinking water, that they're so innocuous and so beneficial that everyone can benefit from a statin drug. I don't personally think so. I think they should be used selectively with the side effects that they involve. But at the same time, they miss the boat on people who are at high risk. So, I have a friend, he had a heart attack out of the blue. He's thin, he's athletic. What happened? Who knows? Anyway, this item, and this is kind of really the acid test for fish oil, because some studies have shown fish oil, not that beneficial for cardiovascular risk. But dialysis patients are a kind of a model for how quickly can you get a heart attack or a stroke. Because when you get dialysis, when your kidneys fail, you very quickly have sky-high cholesterol and metabolic problems that predispose to atherosclerosis. And so most dialysis patients don't die of kidney failure. They get dialyzed, so it fixes their kidney problems. but they have premature cardiovascular disease. They get heart attacks and strokes. A daily fish oil supplement slashed serious heart risks in dialysis patients. And we're going to find out what that study revealed. But first, I'll tell you that my favorite fish oil these days is Big Bold Health. BigBoldHealth.com/Hoffman offers omega-3 Rejuvenate, which is a brand of fish oil that I think is special. It's a premium blend of pure oils from wild-caught Alaskan cod and sockeye salmon, sourced from the pristine waters of Alaska. This is not the story of other brands. The fact is, most of the world's fish oil products are produced from several types of species, packed into nets and commercial fishing zones, loaded into the holds of vessels that stay out for days or even weeks, and put in processing plants that treat them with high heat, chemicals, and synthetic nutrients. And Big Bold Health does it differently, all of it. Straight from the sea into the hands of skilled fishermen, instantly flash frozen, taken to their specially designed shoreside plant using a low-heat technique to extract the pure amber omega oil. You can see the difference. That contains all natural and abundant full-spectrum omega-3s, including EPA, DHA, and DPA, plus all natural vitamins A and D and naturally occurring pro-resolving mediators to support cardiovascular, cognitive, and immune health. With low-temperature extraction, it preserves the natural goodness of the fish, so you get maximum benefits in every soft gel. No fillers, no shortcuts, just pure potent wellness. Visit BigBoldHealth.com/Hoffman and experience the difference. Use coupon code Hoffman for a discount. All right. What this study showed was that fish oil, they say patients on dialysis have extremely high cardiovascular risk, and very few therapies have been shown to reduce that risk. In a field where very many trials have been negative, this is a significant finding. They found that dialysis patients have much lower levels of EPA and DHA, and they found a dramatic slashing of risk when participants took fish oil each day. The supplement contained the natural omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA. There was a 43% reduction in serious cardiovascular events, which is amazing considering that these patients were on dialysis. So, yeah, consider fish oil supplementation. 877-726-8255 is our number, and this is Intelligent Medicine. You know that feeling when everything just clicks? Your mind is sharp, your mood is steady, your body feels like it's firing on all cylinders. That's not luck, that's what your body is capable of every single day. Now, I've looked into a lot of fish oil supplements, and honestly, most of them are mystery-sourced, over-processed, blasted with heat, and packed with synthetic add-ins. But this one is different. Omega-3 Rejuvenate from Big Bold Health starts with wild Alaskan salmon and cod, sustainably caught from some of the cleanest waters on the planet, and then it's processed at low temperatures to preserve what actually matters. We're talking about real omega-3s, naturally occurring vitamins A and D, and pro-resolving mediators, or PRMs, that help your body balance its own immune response. What does that mean for you? Clearer thinking, more stable mood, and real nature-based support for your heart and immune system. No shortcuts, no synthetic nonsense. And it was developed by Dr. Jeffrey Bland, a true pioneer in the world of complementary health. If you want to feel the difference, go to BigBoldHealth.com/Hoffman. That's BigBoldHealth.com/Hoffman and use code Hoffman for 20% off site-wide. Once you feel it, you'll know. If your quest for longevity feels overwhelming, here's some good news. It starts with one simple daily habit. MitoPure gummies from Timeline. They're the first ever longevity gummies that ignite mitophagy, your body's natural anti-aging pathway. MitoPure is a clinically validated solution backed by over 15 years of research. MitoPure gummies utilize a powerful compound that redefines what's possible for your longevity. MitoPure produces the first ever urolithin A gummies that support your cellular energy so you feel strong, clear, and vibrant. Boost your cellular energy and enhance muscle strength and endurance, all without changing your diet or exercise routine. As someone who loves to stay active, I've noticed a significant boost in my workouts since I started using it. I feel stronger and more energized, and my recovery time has improved dramatically. Better recovery starts at the cellular level. For more information and to order, just go to timeline.com/Hoffman, use coupon code Hoffman, at checkout for 20% off. That's timeline.com/Hoffman for 20% off MitoPure gummies with code Hoffman.
Subscribe to the Intelligent Medicine Podcast, updated several times weekly. Go to drhoffman.com.
Welcome back to Intelligent Medicine. Dr. Ronald Hoffman here. Our number is 877-726-8255. Anytime you have a question, you can call that number and record a question. We'll take some of those questions momentarily, but I just want to repeat, because it got a little cut off, the place to go for the fish oil that I prefer these days, bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman, and use coupon code Hoffman20 for 20% off site-wide. That's bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman for omega-3 Rejuvenate, my favorite fish oil these days. This item, if you think, used to believe that sleep is a waste of time, and you're only allotted a certain amount of time in life, and if you sleep away your life, you're wasting time. But it turns out that sleep is ultra important and can enhance the quality of your life and potentially increase the quantity of your life. And this new study supports that notion. Sleeping less than 7 hours per day could cut years off your life. They say skipping sleep doesn't just leave you tired, it may be quietly shortening your life. To reach their conclusions, researchers analyzed a large national database, and the researchers were surprised. Senior author Dr. Andrew McKill, who's a professor at Oregon Institute of Occupational Health Sciences, said, "I didn't expect it to be so strongly correlated to life expectancy. Researchers evaluated lifestyle factors tied to how long people live. Sleep stood out clearly. Its association with life expectancy was stronger than that of diet, physical activity, or even loneliness, social isolation. Smoking was the only factor that showed a greater influence than sleep duration and quality." And why is it that sleep does that? The study didn't examine the biological reasons, but sleep plays a critical role in heart health, immune function, brain performance. And so the research shows that we need to prioritize sleep at least as much as we do to what we eat or how we exercise. And speaking of longevity, vegetarian diet. Does a vegetarian diet promote longevity? Big study in China. Vegetarian diet and likelihood of becoming centenarians, living to 100, in Chinese adults age 80 or older. And they did a big study. Here's what they found. There was an inverse association of vegetarian diet with mortality and morbidity in previous studies. In other words, vegetarian diet protects you from dying and protects you from being sick. However, the role of vegetarian diet on exceptional longevity remains unrevealed. And what they found was au contraire. Individuals on a vegetarian diet in China had a lower likelihood of attaining the age of 100. Now, there's a caveat here. The study was done in China. It may well be that folks in China who follow a vegetarian diet are not doing it voluntarily like a health-conscious American consumer amid affluence. They're doing it because they're too poor to afford more expensive animal protein. And hence, that may make the results of this study less relevant to U.S. populations. But nonetheless, in this particular study, vegetarian diet was not associated with longevity. In fact, associated with less likelihood of attaining the age of 100, at least in the country of China. 877-726-8255 is our number, and this is Intelligent Medicine.
Are you ready to experience the future of digestive wellness with Dr. Ohhira's new and revolutionary postbiotic fermented food concentrate? Capsule-free and in individual sachet packets that harness the power of 5 years of fermentation and over 500 concentrated bioactive postbiotics. Dr. Ohhira's postbiotic fermented food concentrate is a nutrient-dense paste designed to supercharge your digestive health, aid in nutrient absorption, and support whole-body immune wellness. Each sachet packet delivers a potent blend of fermented paste and prebiotics which serve as fuel for your body's own unique gut microbiome. This concentrate supports your entire digestive tract, does not need refrigeration, non-GMO, dairy, and gluten-free. Dr. Ohhira's postbiotic fermented food concentrate. It is the ultimate embodiment of traditional Japanese fermented craftsmanship, designed for those who seek the highest concentration of nature's restorative power in every serving. Ask your natural products retailer for it today or online at essentialformulas.com.
You know that feeling. You're exhausted, but your brain just won't quit. You're staring at the ceiling, watching the clock, dreading the morning. Here's something that actually helps. It's called Kyolic Specialty Series Sleep Mushrooms Plus. And it's unlike anything you've tried before. This isn't some chemical sleep aid that leaves you foggy and dragging the next day. This is a clean botanical formula built around certified organic reishi mushrooms grown on real farms, not in a lab, combined with valerian root to help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer, L-theanine to quiet that racing mind, and Kyolic aged garlic extract, one of the most trusted wellness ingredients available for circulation and stress support. It's vegan, non-GMO, no gluten, no dairy, no artificial anything. Just 2 capsules, 2 hours before bed, and you wake up actually rested, not groggy, not out of it, just refreshed. Kyolic Sleep Mushrooms Plus from Wakanaga. Learn more about this and the entire Kyolic Mushrooms Plus line at kyolic.com. That's KYOLIC.com. Look for Kyolic at natural health stores nationwide and online.
Subscribe to the Intelligent Medicine Podcast, updated several times weekly. Go to drhoffman.com.
Back to Intelligent Medicine, Dr. Ronald Hoffman here as I continually reiterate 877-726-8255. Jot that number down because then you can communicate with us. You got a question about something we've talked about here, maybe a comment on something going on in the health front, pro-MAHA, anti-MAHA, whatever you like, or a question about, you have a medical dilemma and you want us to help you out with it. 877-726-8255 is the number to get a lifeline. And let's take one of those questions.
Is a surgically stitched in aortic valve replacement have a longer life than a TAVR installed aortic valve?
Okay, so we're talking TAVR or TAVR, and we know that doctors love acronyms. So TAVR stands for transcatheter aortic valve replacement, which recently Mick Jagger was the poster boy for one of these things. What it is a less invasive way of repairing your aortic valve, which is the outlet valve of your heart. After your heart picks up the blood, pumps it, it sends it out via the aorta. And there's a valve that sometimes, as you get older, becomes stenosed. It accumulates calcification, or it develops deformities which impede the flow of blood, and then you don't get as much blood pumped out of your heart. Moreover, your heart has to work harder and harder and harder to the point where your heart develops congestive heart failure. So when it comes to aortic stenosis, the statistics show that in previous times in this country and in other parts of the third world, the major cause for aortic stenosis is infectious disease. In other words, poorly treated rheumatic heart disease, which can damage the heart valves. That used to be the case. We used to see a lot of that in oldsters when I was in my training, but that was 40 years ago, and more, there are less of these people and more people in the West who have plaque in their aortic valves, not the result of an infection, but the result of Western lifestyle. So when it comes to statistics, a fairly high percentage of older people have aortic stenosis, 2 to 4% of people over 65, and the incidence is greater than 10% in the over 75 population. And it even affected Mick Jagger. And he is an example of a very successful fix. The idea behind the transcatheter aortic valve replacement is you don't have to crack the chest, and you can go through endoscopically via either the femoral artery in the groin or in the wrist. And this is a much less invasive way of dealing with in older patients, and has been a great innovation. A college roommate of mine, as a cardiovascular surgeon, began to specialize in, instead of cracking people's chests, using the TAVR procedure as a minimally invasive alternative to traditional open heart surgical aortic valve replacement, which is referred to as SAVR, surgical aortic valve replacement. Now, the question, and it's a good question, is the TAVR as good as the SAVR when it comes to long-term results? There's no question that the TAVR offers faster recovery and shorter hospital stays, less pain, and it's ideal for higher risk or older patients. You don't want to do a big, arduous surgery, putting people on a heart-lung bypass machine, as with coronary bypass grafting. But does the TAVR, are the results as good? And the answer is that SAVR is often preferred for younger patients. So if you have, say, a bicuspid valve, which is a somewhat uncommon, usually the valve has 3 parts. The bicuspid valve has 2 parts. That's a deformity that sometimes necessitates surgery at a younger age. A friend of mine had to have that in his 40s. For that, since it's anticipated that he might live into his 80s or 90s, that surgery has more durability than the TAVR surgery. Although modern TAVR shows similar effectiveness for many, and more they're coming to rely on the TAVR as a first choice. So, SAVR, open heart surgery, involves opening the breastbone and placing a new valve with a heart while you're on bypass. And you get excellent long-term outcomes and durability of greater than 10 to 15 years. But it's more traumatic, and there's longer recovery time, longer hospital stays, greater risk of infections. So there you have it. It's consideration based on your circumstances. If you're older, it's likely that you'll become a candidate for TAVR. So there you have it. 877-726-8255 is our number. And it turns out, we talk a lot about the no MSG diet, and a lot of people have come to identify MSG with the MSG headache, right? Or, we're often telling patients with migraines, go on the migraine diet that includes avoid MSG. But there's been some pushback on that, and I've read some of the pushback on that, and they say that studies show that this is just a myth, that MSG is fine, no problem with MSG. And it was even thought that this backlash against MSG was ginned up as part of an anti-Asian hate campaign, discrimination against the Chinese and the Japanese because they like to use that flavoring agent in their foods, and that it was bunk, and that you needn't ask your waiter, no MSG, please. But they just did a study. Study was done in November 2025. A diet low in glutamate may ease migraines. They did a study on 25 veterans who suffered from migraines. And they also suffered from Gulf War illness. So they're pretty banged up guys. There's a program in the VA, and it actually started when I was during my training at the VA hospital here in New York, as they gathered up all the Gulf War veterans. And they put them into a program This is actually before the Gulf War. It's the Vietnam veterans, but subsequently they looked at Gulf War veterans who were exposed to chemicals, and they had weird diseases, many of whom suffer from migraines. And in this particular study, they put people on a low-glutamate diet full of whole fruits and vegetables, and they avoided high-glutamate foods, which include soy sauce, mushrooms, and ultra-processed foods. You don't necessarily have to have MSG added to your food to have a high glutamate content. Generally, foods that are savory, that foods have a quality called umami, fermented foods in some cases, deliver high levels of glutamate. So soy sauce inherently has it, whether they add glutamate or MSG or not. Mushrooms and ultra-processed foods are often laden with glutamate for flavor purposes. Before the diet, 64% of the people reported having a migraine in the previous week. After a month of a low-glutamate diet, that number dropped dramatically to about 12%. After the 1-month diet ended, 88% of the people in the study chose to remain on the diet. They feel that the diet is definitely benefiting them. And accompanying brain scans showed that the part of the visual system toward the back of the brain was thinner after the diet, so that there are actually brain structural changes that show that there were fundamental changes to the brain. And so interesting study, small study, admittedly, but a study suggesting that low glutamate diet can be helpful for migraine sufferers, and perhaps sufferers of many other related forms of headaches. I recommend it. 877-726-8255 is our number, and this is Intelligent Medicine.
There were many important reasons why I started my FullScript online supplement dispensary. I wanted to offer you the same curated professional-grade supplement brands that I use, the ones I know and trust. I also wanted to ensure that they weren't counterfeit or expired. Recently, I've been hearing more and more about counterfeit or expired products purchased from online retailers. With FullScript, you can be confident your supplements are genuine and they'll arrive with optimal freshness and potency. Also, buying through FullScript offers fast, free shipping, optional refill reminders, and a highly rated mobile app. It's safe, secure, HIPAA-compliant, and offers world-class support. Go to drhoffmanstore.com for more information and to start your free FullScript account. You'll get access to the supplements and features you need to help you achieve your wellness goals, including my custom targeted protocols that combine the products I recommend to address specific needs: heart health, immune support, and much more. To get started, just go to drhoffmanstore.com, drhoffmanstore.com. There's a crucial molecule in your body that helps control everything: your circulation, your energy, your stamina, your heart, even your sharpness of mind. It's called nitric oxide. But after age 40, your body makes less and less of it. Less blood flow, less stamina, less of you. But now there's N101, the nitric oxide lozenge developed by Dr. Nathan Bryan, the world's leading nitric oxide researcher backed by Nobel Prize-winning science. N101 is designed to naturally restore your body's nitric oxide levels. Just do what I do and let one dissolve in your mouth twice a day. I especially make sure to take it before workouts. N101 goes to work in minutes, releasing nitric oxide directly into your bloodstream, supporting healthy circulation, boosting oxygen delivery to your muscles and brain, helping you feel the way you're supposed to feel. More energy, better blood flow, sharper focus. Day after day, N101, it's the science of you working better. Visit HoffmanNO.com. That's HoffmanNO.com and use coupon code Hoffman10 for 10% off N101.
drhoffman.com, your portal for cutting-edge information on health and nutrition.
Welcome back to Intelligent Medicine. Dr. Ronald Hoffman here. Our number is 877-726-8255 around here, so you can call and record a question anytime you like, 24/7, 365, and we'll answer it during the program. We're talking a little bit about strategies for losing weight besides taking GLP-1 drugs. They can help. But when it comes to losing weight, eating rate, according to a recent study, has sustained effects on energy intake from ultra-processed diets. Even RFK Jr. now and then has a Big Mac, especially when he's on Air Force One
with the president and his cabinet, he's got to be one of the guys. So, he'll smash a Big Mac and a Coke just to show that he's one of the guys, and he can still do, 23 pull-ups unimpeded at the age of 71. Me personally, I rarely have hamburgers, but, occasionally I'll love me a Five Guys or an In-N-Out burger. But one thing that I notice about that kind of food, it's yummy, but you eat it real fast. I can put away a Five Guys burger in about 2 minutes. I just like inhale it. And it's a lot of calories, and you put it in fast, and it hits your body kind of hard. So in the study, they say, obviously, previous research has shown that diets dominated by ultra-processed foods are associated with higher dietary energy intakes. This association may be attributable in part to meal texture and associated eating rate. And so what they did, kind of an ingenious experiment, they gave people the same calorie food that was either had a very palatable texture that enabled them to eat it really quickly, like a bacon cheeseburger with a soft bun, versus the same calories, the same macronutrient composition that required longer chewing and eating time. And they gave them their choice to eat as much as they wanted. And what they found was that dietary energy intake was astonishingly 369 calories lower on the slow diet compared with the fast diet. It's very interesting. Is that it's just simply because it was the same calories and the same nutrient composition, it just was in a form that was either, vacuum it up, or chew, takes a little longer to assimilate it. So, yeah. They say that body fat mass decreased on the slow diet by a half a kilogram, which is about a pound or more. It's about 2 pounds. Oh, so half a kilogram is about a pound. Okay, translation, half a pound. But it was a short study. And so 14 days, lose a pound. So, yeah, occasionally I love me a Wendy's or a Five Guys or a Smash Burger or In-N-Out burger, but, ultimately that's not the way to go if you want to lose weight. All right, this item, a simple amino acid supplement greatly reduces Alzheimer's damage. Wow. What amino acid is that? It turns out it is the pirate amino acid, L-arginine. That's the pirate amino acid. It is an amino acid that helps to enhance nitric oxide, but it also shows unexpected power to reduce amyloid damage. It seems to be a plaque buster, according to researchers who found that oral arginine can act as a safe chemical chaperone to reduce the beta amyloid aggregation and its toxic effects. This was admittedly in animal models of Alzheimer's disease. The research performed in Japan, and the researchers say, though, they're not telling you how much arginine to take because this is an animal study. We don't know how this translates to humans, but they say that this represents a practical approach that could be implemented in humans at scale. It points to a cost-effective, readily available strategy that may one day support people affected by Alzheimer's disease across the globe. We hope that future investigation will confirm the benefits of arginine supplementation. And this item, when it comes to multiple sclerosis joins other neurodegenerative diseases. We already know that living close to a golf course increases your risk of Parkinson's disease. We know that Alzheimer's disease is hiked by exposure to chemical toxins. Multiple sclerosis, thought in some cases to be affected by a persistent virus in the brain, but there may be a multiplicity of factors, including common chemicals. Exposure to common chemicals, particularly a combination of multiple chemicals, was associated with increased risk of MS in a recent study. Exposure to PFAS chemicals, as well as PCBs, it's an alphabet soup, PFAS, or PFAS chemicals. These are hydroxylated polychlorinated biphenyls that are PCBs. Chemicals widely used in industrial applications to consumer products that are now ubiquitous in our environment. The PFAS compounds and the PCBs were linked to an increased odds for MS. People with the highest concentrations of PFAS and PCBs had approximately twice the risk of being diagnosed with MS. We say that these are forever chemicals. They're endocrine disrupting, potentially carcinogenic, but they also may interfere with immune signaling and create changes in brain function that may be associated with autoimmunity and the development of MS, twofold increased risk associated with higher blood levels of these chemicals. So we know these chemicals are bad for you. We hope that under MAHA something will be done about it, but there's been some pushback from the laissez-faire members of the administration and the deep state, people in Congress who are pushing back on necessary regulation on toxic industrial compounds. And that is a concern that we may miss the boat on MAHA by not paying enough attention to our toxic environment. And finally, this study that shows that melatonin may have an impact on the risk of heart failure. Turns out that melatonin may have an impact on something called proBNP. It's a substance released by the heart. Elevated levels are a key indicator of heart failure, and melatonin supplementation can significantly decrease levels of proBNP in patients with heart failure with reduced ejection fraction. So in addition to helping people sleep, and people, God knows that people with congestive heart failure have more trouble sleeping, melatonin may help people with CHF. Well, thanks very much for joining us. Remember, you can order your supplements via Fullscript. Check out drhoffmanstore.com and also take advantage of everything Intelligent Medicine has to offer. You can follow our Intelligent Medicine podcast in your favorite podcast app and get new episodes every weekday, and follow me on Facebook and X for the latest health news, and subscribe to the Intelligent Medicine newsletter. It's free. You can get in-depth articles on the most relevant health stories. Have a safe and healthy weekend. 877-726-8255 is our number for questions.
There were many important reasons why I started my Fullscript online supplement dispensary. I wanted to offer you the same curated professional-grade supplement brands that I use, the ones I know and trust. I also wanted to ensure that they weren't counterfeit or expired. Recently, I've been hearing more and more about counterfeit or expired products purchased from online retailers. With Fullscript, you can be confident your supplements are genuine and they'll arrive with optimal freshness and potency. Also, buying through Fullscript offers fast, free shipping, optional refill reminders, and a highly rated mobile app. It's safe, secure, HIPAA compliant, and offers world-class support. Go to drhoffmanstore.com for more information and to start your free Fullscript account. You'll get access to the supplements and features you need to help you achieve your wellness goals, including my custom targeted protocols that combine the products I recommend to address specific needs: heart health, immune support, and much more. To get started, just go to drhoffmanstore.com, drhoffmanstore.com.